What's up, Madridistas? This is actually a important game for us because there's a lot of implications as a result of this game tomorrow against Brest. But let's talk about the game tomorrow. In the press conference today, Carlo Ancelotti was asked about Brest, and he said that they're a very physical team. They're very tall, good in aerial duels, and strong in counterattacks. They've done pretty well in the Champions League, but that hasn't reflected well in Ligue 1. Brest is currently 13th in the Champions League. They're above us in the table, which again is not saying much considering all the losses we've taken. But in Ligue 1, they're 9th, and they've already suffered 9 defeats, conceding 31 goals along the way. Of course, we cannot take them for granted because the last time we traveled to France, we were defeated by a team that's one place above Brest, Lille, in a game where we did not look good whatsoever. But of course, the team has come a long way since that match. Of course, Real Madrid is coming off high confidence where we were able to get some pretty big wins, but we've been spoiled with having a lot of our matches at home at the Bernabeu. The team now has to travel to France, which they've arrived earlier today, and Carlo Ancelotti has stressed how important this victory is, and I'm going to break down the implications of all that in this video. The first thing is Vinícius is suspended for this match. He received an accumulation of yellow cards, so he's not going to be available for Carlo Ancelotti in the lineup tomorrow. Another player who was many expected to make it to the game tomorrow, but he turned out to be not fit in time for the match, and that's Eduardo Camavinga. But the good news is David Alaba's recovery is going really well. Carlo Ancelotti said he would either start tomorrow, or if not tomorrow, he would start the next match. So David Alaba moving in the right direction, which is exactly what we need at this time of the season. Somebody who's really reliable from a ball progression standpoint and one of the best center backs in football today. But if I was a betting man, I'm going to say that David Alaba will not start this match, but instead Raul Asensio will come in at center back with Antonio Rudiger. And with the suspension of Vinícius, it's likely that Rodrygo will play off the left and Brahim Díaz will play on the right. But there are many question marks, including who will play in midfield and who is going to play at right back. I expect Tchouaméni to start in the midfield in a double pivot with either Ceballos or Modric. That will mean that Valverde is likely to play at right back in this game. One of the things that's not clear is what Carlo Ancelotti will do for the rest of the season in big matches at right back. Will he go with Valverde at right back? And if he does that, then there might be a heavier burden put on Dani Ceballos to play in the pivot. So far, Ceballos has been an instrumental player for Carlo Ancelotti for the side for Real Madrid. But how will he fare in games where it's really important matches and you cannot afford to make any errors? As I mentioned earlier, Carlo Ancelotti stressed and talked about how important it is to contain Brest in their counterattacks. We'll really need to get a hold of them. Now, one of the things that Carlo Ancelotti has solved for, and I've talked about this in my last video, is solutions around deep blocks. It's likely that Brest will play in a deep block and look to counter us and take their opportunities when Brest arise. And one of those solutions is playing Jude Bellingham almost like a 9 as a striker with a 1-2 with Kylian Mbappé. Those movements and having Mbappé play more on the left side has yielded positive results, and Mbappé is in the form of his life. And although Real Madrid has pretty much mathematically secured their place in the playoffs, this is why it's important for Real Madrid to win this game, because depending on where Real Madrid ends up, whether it's the top 8 and they automatically guarantee their place in the round of 16 or they have to be in the playoffs, winning this game is important. And not just winning this game, but winning by more than 3 goals. So the way it works this year, the teams that finish at the bottom of from 24 all the way to 9. So all the teams from 24 to 9 qualify for the playoffs. But the teams at the very bottom, so if you finish 24th, you cannot face the team that finishes 23rd. The team that finishes 9th, you cannot face the team that finishes 10th. But what is going to happen is the teams that finish 23rd then face the teams that finish 9th or 10th and so on. So the higher up you finish, the more likely you're going to have to face one of the weaker sides. So Real Madrid getting these 3 points could mean that they're going to have to face a side that is not going to be as strong. Although I favor Real Madrid to beat any of these teams that are going to be in the playoff stages, there's still a couple of sides in there that you never know. If Manchester City ends up getting a result against Club Brugge, please, Club Brugge. Manchester City needs to get a win against Club Brugge. Club Brugge has had a really good record. They've been undefeated in their last few games. If Manchester City gets eliminated before the round of 16, I can smell the 16th. I can literally smell it. Please. Okay, but let's quickly talk about what Real Madrid needs to make it to the top 8. Now, statistically speaking, we have about a 10% chance. So let's quickly go through some of these scenarios. So I mentioned Real Madrid needs to win by at least a 3-goal margin. Atalanta must lose to Barcelona. Aston Villa must draw points against Celtic. Monaco must draw points to Inter Milan. Feyenoord and Lille need to draw. And it would be helpful if Bayer Leverkusen did not win their match against Sparta Praha. And if all those scenarios happen, we still have a chance of making it to the top 8. So the point being, very unlikely. It's not going to happen. We're not making it to the top 8. But if we make it to 10th, 11th, 9th, then we face a team that's in 24th, 23rd, 22nd. We face one of those sides. And I would much rather that over some of the other opposition. But if somehow, I don't know, you guys have to tell me in the chat, but if Manchester City beats Club Brugge, then I guess if we win our game and Manchester City wins against Club Brugge, then I guess theoretically we could face each other in the playoffs. I mean, you guys gotta let me know in the comment section. But if that's the case, I still favor us to beat them because they're trash right now, but not exactly the most convenient playoff match. But when you look at the records of some of the teams in the playoff stages right now, you got Aston Villa, who've only conceded 4 goals so far in the Champions League. Aston Villa's conceded 4 goals. Atalanta conceded 4. Of course, we scored 3 against them. So before Real Madrid traveled to Italy, Atalanta had only conceded 1 goal. We're here to ruin records. The way Real Madrid is playing right now, the way Kylian is playing, there's no team in the world that can stop us right now. But of course, this is a grueling season. The players are playing a game almost every other day. They're playing a game, going to Valdebebas, training, and then traveling again somewhere to face another opponent. So at some point, as well as the team is playing right now, as many of the things that are going right for us right now, fatigue is what concerns me the most. Because Lucas Vazquez is not available for this game, I do think Federico Valverde goes into right back. Dani Ceballos starts with Tchouaméni. And if Ceballos does start this game over Luka Modric, that has to fill him with a lot of confidence. To know that Carlo has a lot of trust in him. And he's been a key player for us so far. But when you guys look at some of the sides that are going to potentially be in the playoff stages, you're looking at some pretty decent outfits. So far, you've got Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Juventus, PSG, Stuttgart, who we beat, and Manchester City in 25th. Whoever we face, it could potentially be a difficult match for us. All I know is tomorrow we need to not just win, but win decisively by more than 3 goals. And if you're Brest and you know that Real Madrid needs to come to your ground and win by a bigger margin, they're more vulnerable to counterattacks. So it's important not to overcommit and just focus on getting a result, because trying to win by 3 goals and exposing ourselves to not getting a win and potentially facing a stronger side. But Real Madrid doesn't take any team for granted. Tomorrow after the game, I will be doing a live, so make sure you guys stay tuned to that. Thank you for watching. Hala Madrid.